was the first revolution in the history of mankind that truly reversed the course of government, and with three little words: we the people. We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car, and we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do. We, the people, are free. This belief has been the underlying basis for everything I've tried to do these past 8 years. But back in the 1960s, when I began, it seemed to me that we'd begun reversing the order of things, that through more and more rules and regulations and confiscatory taxes, the government was taking more of our money, more of our options, and more of our freedom. I went into politics in part to put up my hand and say, stop. I was a citizen politician, and it seemed the right thing for a citizen to do. I think we have stopped a lot of what needed stopping, and I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Gonzalo Duran, and this is the Situation Room, New York City politics and beyond, hosted by DJ Loudmouth and myself, Gonzalo Duran. DJ Loudmouth couldn't be here today. That's why there's not going to be no yelling today. So we're going to miss him on that part. He's not feeling well, but he'll be back, and he's behind the scenes. So we thank him once again for everything he's done. You just saw his campaign video for the 2025 City Council District 2 elections. Just on the back end. Today's guest is Dion Powell, the district leader for the 79th Assembly District and current candidate for District 33 for the Senate, State Senate. Dion, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. And I usually have myself on mute sometimes so you don't hear any background, just in case.
That's fine. I know you're in a place where there's people walking around, so
Not really.
Oh, nobody's walking around. Perfect. Now that I mentioned who you are, could you give us more background about yourself?
Well, I'm District Leader Dion Powell of the 78th Assembly District here in the Bronx. I cover Fordham, Pelham Parkway, Bedford Park Boulevard, some of Murillo Parkway, Fordham Oval. I am lifelong born and raised in the Bronx. I'm a product of kindergarten public school and then 1 through 12 Catholic school. I'm alumni of the first student government in America at the City College of New York. Right now, I'm in Metropolitan College of New York, where I got my master's of public administration here on 149th Street and Brooker Avenue in the Bronx. I used to work for the New York State Assembly as a community liaison to the Bronx. I'm a consultant for businesses, nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and special interest groups. Right now it's campaign season, so some of my clients are people running for office and petitioning period and things of that nature. And I'm also the Assistant State Director of Black Exit New York, Black Exit from the Liberal Progressive Ways of Thinking. And Candace Owens is our founder. And hopefully that's about it for now.
Well, now that you're running for the state Senate, I mean, there's going to be a little bit more work that you have on your plate. Regarding your campaign for Senate, what are some of the things that you're going to be fighting for?
Well, just like I was in the candidate forum, this is like a hydra of my solutions. Every time I troubleshoot and answer directly the problem of the how, because I know how to fix things with the system, it always, throws up more questions. Well, number one, I'm going to start with one of the controversial ones is I would like to change the New York State tax code, which is possible through the state Senate, in which we tax every major nonprofit. Let's take one like a Planned Parenthood as a brand. If they have X amount of $100 million budget, they should be taxed X amount that me and my colleagues decipher, and that money can be used in other areas instead of just tax the rich. Because I tell people all the time, politicians' jobs are not to chase down tax people, but they're supposed to make us, the proletariat, the rich. Part two of that would be I want to make sure I have every major nonprofit, whatever brand that may be unionized. One of the things is that people are so happy to help our community with their nonprofit to, shelter the homeless or any specific thing like domestic violence. And, case managers are actually getting more money than a master's degree with their case act, by the way, then you should be able to unionize. One of the nonprofits I used to work for, a men's shelter, we tried to unionize and they tried to, put the kibosh. So basically having a union and labor and nonprofits instead of just being able to fire people at will would go a long way in terms of revenue. Civic education is a big thing of mine. During my campaign run, I want to make sure more people know how to run for county committee, district leaders like myself and yourself, these pro bono roles as a lifestyle. School choice is a big thing on my to-do. With Brexit, I've helped people, homeschool because they're exploding here in New York City. Since 2020 to present, according to National Black Home Educators, homeschooling in Black America has gone from 6% to 17% and growing nationwide. Also, I'm going to partner with the Children's Scholarship Fund and the Inner City Scholarship Fund and make sure they can continue using their 501c3s to give their tax incentives and write-offs to philanthropic entities, because that's one thing they are trying to stop in the government, in which, you can't use your 501c3 for educational scholarships in this capacity for these lower grades. That's my school choice piece, because that links to the next piece, which is spiritual fulfilling, which is to make sure every state worker that was fired for not taking the vaccine shot to be rehired or retro. Oh, and this is going to be the last one, I promise, because this is when politics becomes personal. I want to make sure I follow Assemblyman Ron Kem's piece of legislation when Andrew Cuomo put all the sick people from the COVID pandemic into nursing homes. My aunt was a victim of that. She died in her nursing home here in the Bronx on Kingsbridge and University Avenue, the Jewish nursing home there. So I'll make sure every person who lost a loved one in a nursing home in New York State from the King Cuomo II putting sick COVID people in nursing homes, they do get reimbursed with some sort of fund. Because remember, they can't sue the government, and that the government's not liable. But a lot of people like myself feel as though we should be compensated for this incompetence. Yeah, hopefully that's it.
Well, I mean, those are quite a mouthful right there, and I thank you for sharing. I would love to dissect one or two of them. One of the things that you mentioned for the nursing home situation, you're right. The people can't sue the government unless the government gives them permission to do it, which is, it's a tough break right there. Now that Cuomo has been, I believe he's being indicted, or investigations opening up for the nursing home program.
Well, that's one thing they've tried to do, but King Cuomo II is sitting on a war chest to run for mayor or any other political endeavors from fundraising. So right now he's trying to kind of sue the people that came after him with the allegations of the Me Too stuff, because nothing was found on Cuomo, to be honest with you. And the first time my political theater I've seen is at Reverend Ruben Diaz Sr.'s clergy breakfast for the Christian leaders. He looked like he was about to cry about all the betrayal he's faced. So that's what Cuomo's doing right now. He's trying to strategize his next political move with all the money he's been sitting on. And he's also trying to take the people to task that actually framed him, if you will, for sexual assaults. On second thing, the people like Cafecito Break, shout out to them, who's been in this fight with me. He's also trying to publicly deny that he shut down New York City and shut down businesses. So right now he's trying to kind of flip the clock the years later with some of the COVID lockdown policies that he implemented.
Yeah. So from what I remember, all the things that, let's say the criminal things that he could have done, that he got him for, the thing that really got him was for the Me Too movement. That's how he pretty much got kicked out of office.
Right.
And I think one of the starting investigation was regarding his book. Like for him publishing that his book came out, that's when everything started building up and building up and building up. And I've seen him around, making his rounds for his bid for mayor. I've seen that. I'm surprised. Well, I don't want to say I'm surprised or not, but I guess one of his biggest supporters right now happens to be Reverend Diaz and his clergy group of individuals. What do you think about that?
The Reverend is the Reverend, as they say. Reverend Ruben Diaz Sr. Yes, because Ruben Diaz Sr. was in the state Senate when Cuomo was the governor and things of that nature as a vast conservative Democrat network. And, a lot of people realize, just like Trump, that in hindsight, Cuomo's a more pragmatic, kind of centrist elected official that could work with Democrats and Republicans and have somewhat a balance outside the scope of the liberal progressives that are influencing our policy. So that's where Ruben Diaz Sr. stands on it, even though he's leaning more towards the Republicans, like Lee Zeldin when he ran for governor. But in practicality, in this blue state, Governor Cuomo has a better chance of getting reelected and being in a leadership role with all these blue addicted, drinkers.
Well, that's the truth right there. Now, you mentioned Balexis. Am I pronouncing it right?
Blexit.
Excuse me. Balexit. What is Balexit? Please. Can you give us some more information on it?
Well, so Candace Owens, then the whole walk away movement, hashtag, shout out to Brandon Strzok, who started it, Ben Shapiro and the rest of the gang. When Trump was elected, along the way, these people found their voice for the whole conservatism stuff. At the time, Britain was leaving the European Union for Brexit. So Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum, the co-founder, realized we should have Blexit. We have chapters in, I think, 46 states plus DC. And we also have chapters on 3 HBCU campuses, which is really progressive for our conservative organization that accepts all people. Our mandate is to help African Americans and other minorities, lift themselves up by their bootstraps, if you want to say that model. And we have 4 pillars to do that. School choice is one that I gravitate towards. That's one. Entrepreneurship is another that I focus on. Madeline Brame, our state director. If you search Google for Madeline Brame and put Fox News, you'll see her work with the 3rd pillar, which is criminal justice and victims' rights of people who are murdered in the system, but they let these bail reform victims, bail reform people off the hook. And then there's a 4th pillar, which is like historical context of the African American community to be very inspirational, inspiring with the actual history that uplifts and inspires and is productive. We're changing the narrative for African Americans. That's the thing.
Got it. You mentioned Marilyn Bryan. I've met her a few times. Her background, her son, a combat veteran son, was killed by an individual that was on the bail reform that had just been released through the bail reform. Mm-hmm. And she's been an advocate for, not only changing the bail reform, but advocacy towards veterans and the communities and injustices such as that. And I'm not sure if you're up to date, but she just got certification in one of her in her nonprofit, I believe.
Right.
Angels Rescues, I think, LLC. I might be right. Wrong. Do you know the title of it?
No, not offhand. But she used to be with the Victims' Rights Reform Council, but she started her own individual.
Oh. Well, I'll look that up later. I'll make a note. For the individuals that may not know what school choice is, would you give us a little bit more information on that?
Like I said earlier, school choice is a very dynamic thing that will definitely help the African American community whose program, the public school, is the only great thing. But little people didn't know that most of the Black men in politics all went to private school and or send their children to private school so that they beat their chest about public school to you for your kids, like defund the police, even though they have security. I digress. So school choice is the ability for a parent to decide what child and what school system, educational system they go to. The 2 states that are progressive that I point for the legislation to be implemented under mine, for example, are Iowa and Arizona. Iowa and Arizona have a system that they're trying to implement in which the money, as they say, follow a child, but it's linked to their social security number, in which the parent at a certain age gets their thing in the mail, and they get to decide what school system they'll go to. Local public school, charter school, private school, parochial school, vocational school. And what's really progressive is the homeschooling component. Because a lot of people overlook that based on the stigmas. But since the COVID lockdowns across the board, plus the drag queen story hours, the sexualized community, the access to hormones for children, the safety issue, more parents are actually opting, especially in New York City, for homeschooling to get their kids out of the phone system and educate them. You can do it from K to 12. A lot of people don't know that. They're cooperatives. These children will turn out normal because they're interacting with each other in the cooperatives and the homeschooling pods and things of that nature. But thanks to this red pill moment of the COVID lockdowns in 2021 and stuff like that, a lot of people say, you know what? the government's not going to dictate my child's education and all this other stuff. And you know what? The government's not going to dictate that my child has access to this hormone therapy or mandatory for this COVID vaccine, which progressively is proving out to be not good, according to the New York Times, which actually broke a major story about COVID vaccine injury. But
now, those are separate bills that you're mentioning about the medical stuff, right?
yes. So the legislation I propose progressively is for the school choice component to reflect the legislation that Iowa and Arizona has put forth, and make sure New York hopefully could take a leadership role or just follow suit with them. The second piece was the rehiring of all the state workers and beyond with retro everything that were fired for not taking the vaccine for COVID. Because now, according to New York Times, a major mainstream media, there's been a lot of COVID vaccines as a result of these things. And it's been proven that people who are vaccinated actually are getting COVID more so, and actually hashtag sudden death, dying from a lot of cardio and blood clot issues. And people like myself who aren't vaccinated, we're just fine.
Now, just to backtrack a little bit, one of the main organizations that's pushing for school choice is the school choice parent. What's it called? The Parent Party, I believe it's called.
Right.
And they're pushing towards increasing the police force or pro-police, and having the school choices for the parents. Now, the key component that I like to talk about is homeschooling. A lot of New Yorkers don't know that you can do homeschooling for your children, but it's a process, and they're not making it easy for everybody. But I know you that's one of your main things that you want to see, getting the education to say you can do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you know the process?
Oh, yes. You see, that's what I'm big on, is the how. Everybody has all these great ideas. But one thing as a candidate I pride myself on is that I answer my questions about using the words program or more programs as a solution. So this is how you can actually opt into school choice options. That's not in your face. Number one, the Children's Scholarship Fund. I'm a big supporter of theirs. They give out partial scholarships to 75% because the parents have a buy-in to put their kids in charter school. Number two, and these are resources, so hopefully everybody takes them down. The Inner City Scholarship Fund, which has the same component with that. The next thing I promote is Hunter College. Hunter College is a department for special education, and this department will actually help you, turn your kids' IEP, which a lot of people should know about, into IESP to actually send their children to private schools, because a lot of people don't know by federal law that if a public school cannot, I like the light like this, if the public school cannot provide services for special needs children, that money would have to go to private school, and or the parent would have to be reimbursed for that expense. So I highly encourage parents to go to Hunter College, look up their IEP to switch to IESP, to use that monies to send their children to private schools. Now, the next piece is National Homeschoolers Legal Defense Association. I had them in my whole school events with Blexit, and I'll never forget it. He said, "My name is TJ Smith. I'm the chief counsel of the National Homeschoolers Defense, and I'm proud of homeschooling." So that also gives support for parents, a certain membership fee as well to join those cooperatives. The local one is a Fran and a husband here in the Bronx and Throgsnet. They're in charge of the Homeschool New York, LEAH. If you Google Homeschool New York, LEAH, then you'll see those guys come up, and they'll actually homeschool you here and help you homeschool here in New York City, as they're a part of this jurisdiction under the national umbrella. Again, shout out to the National Black Home Educators if you want to promote the Black thing like, I'm supposed to do, I guess. And also there's some other homeschool pods if you look around as well. The Children's Health Defense, which actually is fighting, thanks to Robert F. Kennedy's funding for years, people that were fired from the mandates. They also have started their own homeschool cooperative, I think, for all the people that are fired for the vaccine, who didn't send their children to school for not getting vaccinated as well. So these are the kind of partnerships I have that are very solution-based to these problems.
And when you talk about your solutions and your programs, you're not somebody.
Don't say programs. I don't say that.
Sorry. The work that you're doing, you're not doing it just during this election cycles. These are things that you've done for many years. These are services that you provided in your tenure, in your possession, in your work ethics and stuff that you're doing. You're pretty much been doing it for many years, right?
Yes.
Now, with all that being said, I mean, what's the biggest pushback? I mean, if is it knowledge? Is it the fact that somebody doesn't want to get up and do it? Well, what do you think is the biggest connect with the communities if these situations are out there, these resources, these opportunities?
Well, one thing is that they have the stigma that they can't do it because they always say, "Oh, well, these parents can't homeschool." Yeah, excuse me about that. The security guys can. They say these parents can't homeschool. I was like, well, you doubt these parents, yet they have the ability. You want to make sure the parents have power to make decisions. So the stigma. Number two is the knowledge base. A lot of this information is hidden in plain sight for me because I know this. So I can only do few individuals at a time through the Zooms and stuff like that with Blexit. And then once again, like everything else I do, when I put the resource out there, it's up to the parents to actually do it. But some parents actually gravitate towards this and they implement. But then again, parents have to help each other. The public school system, unfortunately, I don't believe at the PTA conferences and the parent coordinators are going to provide this information and resources. And I don't have the capacity to go out there and shout to the mountains and have a system to integrate these people for these processes. Then again, there's certain things that are trying to stop this, like the Children's Scholarship Fund and some others. They still have to lobby these efforts for their scholarship funds and all the benefits they can do. Then the homeschoolers, again, have to lobby Albany and fight to make sure their credentials, when the kids graduate from 12th grade, from the homeschooling process they've done, they get a high school diploma, just like everybody else. Like my grandma was disgusted when they made a high school diploma / GED the equivalent. And so the homeschoolers argument in New York homeschoolers argument is like, well, if you give kids that are homeschooled in New York the same high school diploma as everybody else, CUNY and SUNY systems will be overflown with kids from homeschooling. You're actually denying capability from for these high school students that are homeschooled to get access to our public universities. But still, because of their homeschooling discipline and education, they're able to actually go to private schools, colleges, and universities with this letter you get from New York and get recruited for their enrollment numbers. So there's a lot of things that we're fighting for on the small scale. And like I told all the candidates, you can only change what's in the power of your own control, which is what I'm doing. I know how to fight this dragon with a toothpick because that's all I got.
All right, so obviously I know why the schools, like the Board of Education, the charter schools, wouldn't want people to be homeschooled, because once you start removing the students, you start removing the money, and it's not going to be advantageous for them. And let's say with everything that's going on right now with the influx of illegal immigrants, migrants coming in to the school systems, they automatically get in the pass in there. So even though the Board of Education, they might say a press release saying that we have enough space and things and class numbers are being allocated in a right method. I don't believe that. I don't. The words that I get from teachers saying that they're not comfortable where things are going. These are all attractions to say why we shouldn't, or why we should try to get more homeschooling done. But as individuals, as parents, we have to make that much effort. Now, if you were given a platform to get that word out more, what would you like to see happen? Would you want somebody to come at you and say, look, I'm going to give you a venue, I'm going to help you network, I'm going to get the press to help you out for that? Would that be enough for you? What would you like to see happen?
Well, number one, funding. Dion needs to eat too as a consultant and have a budget for this. Now, this would have to be a platform which, like these independent channels, to promote. And also, we would have to use our budget sometimes to sponsor strategically advertisements in certain areas to get parents in. And then we have to break into the public school system. I've been a part of efforts where, on day one or maybe in the summertime, when we're doing this free toys, free school supplies routine, we can do that ourselves. We have certain tabling in which we give out the flyers to the parents, or the parents pit when the parents are waiting for the kids outside the school system in June-ish, give them the flyers with the QR code. Come on, guys, you can do it too. Here are your options. or better yet, find out who's a victim of being fired from the COVID vaccine shot and give them support. There's all groups, again, Children's Health Defense, Freedom Rally, Teachers for Choice, and stuff like that, and help each other. Go to jobs, union worker jobs, blue collar jobs, and say, hey, the Catholic school system, the private school system, it's like 80% black and brown, as they say. This is your chance to use your benefits with the Children's Scholarship Fund, the Interstate Scholarship Fund, to help them do just that. And again, it's hard for people to change what's in their control. Because one of the campaign slogans I used in 2020 when I ran for assembly is that people want change, but they don't want to change. Therefore, nothing's going to really change.
You're right on that, buddy. You're right on that. Now, look, I don't know. I'm not an expert in the educational system for the United States and New York City. But, I like to think that we all started off with wanting to improve people's education, reading, writing, arithmetic, math, and et cetera, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But, now we're in a situation where, let's be frank, and, some people might be opposed to this, and, I might get some hate mail on this, but, school is all it really is just a babysitting daycare center at the moment, literacy in the Bronx, for one, is at a state low. That's one of the we have libraries that in schools that are not fully funded and worked through. We have teachers that feel that they are still underpaid, even though the Board of Election just finished their contract with the teachers that gives them one of the highest pay increases in the nation. I don't want to say the nation, but I think the chancellor said in the world. I believe, I can't remember on top of my head. Sorry about that. But we're at a situation where every day we're fighting different things on what's being taught to the school to the children at schools that's not school related. We're getting more days where it's being removed, more days are being taken away, and trying to balance how many days the kids are in school versus how many vacation days because of religion purposes. We have all these things happening, and yet the numbers are failing on how many are actually prepared for the workforce. So you have all these dynamics in there, and I understand you have these ideas and you have these resolutions. I'm going to say resolutions that can benefit, but we need to get the word out. So how would the people, if they wanted to, let's say, help finance not just you, but the work that you're doing, the work that you want to do, how would they go about doing that?
Well, again, I'm a consultant, and my handle is NY Consultant, singular, nyconsultant.us. You reach out to me there, Dion at nyconsultant.us, and hopefully retain me for your nonprofit or company to consult you through this process, or individuals as well. You can actually submit a donation to the Bronx County Conservative Party that helps us out collectively as candidates, including yourself and others, to run for office and to get these positions in order to implement some of these policies and bills. So those are like the two, I think, ideal solutions, because I don't have a nonprofit. I have a not-for-profit called 2323, which helped run candidates that were fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. The theme was, you took our jobs, now we're going to take yours. But I've letting that kind of fall by the wayside. There's cycle. And those are two ways monetarily to help these efforts. The Bronx Conservative Party, which me and being involved can help do these school choice fairs. Blexit support, even though we can't really take contributions like that. And me as a consultant, if you really want to go hard, with your money.
Now, just to move on to the different subject, you had mentioned nonprofit quite a bit in your speech. Earlier, you said you'd want to tax major nonprofits, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's a major nonprofit for you?
Planned Parenthood. It's a major nonprofit. And we have some other nonprofit shelter systems and, all those wonderful things as well. The nonprofit. We even have the nonprofit medical doctor's office and clinics now. So they have a budget that they're getting from grant money, political money, other philanthropic efforts. And it's possible, again, the how. which is the New York State tax code. You have the federal tax code, IRS, you have the New York State tax code when you do taxes. All we have to do is change that tax code by law, because the civic education piece is the most powerful tool the man has, is the ability to create and change the rules. And that way we tax these nonprofits as well to get that revenue in. Now, a problem with that is it'll probably be mismanaged, but if the more of us candidates like ourselves to get in the office, we can really try to mitigate that and hold things accountable, make sure that money's earmarked for it's supposed to be. And then again, the question I had at the candidate forum is like, well, how much would you tax? And that's something that our colleagues in the state Senate and the Assembly will have to figure out, and a little back and forth with that. But as long as we all agree to change the New York State tax code to tax every major nonprofit, that will actually solve some of our budgetary problems, instead of just, let's tax the rich. No, government, you're supposed to make us rich so that we don't need you anymore, government. And then, a better society.
Now, when you, as a nonprofit leader myself, I'm surprised somebody say, I don't think anybody's ever brought up let's tax a nonprofit. Obviously, nonprofits are tax exempt organizations. It is a business, but it's just the way it works is just being they don't get taxed. They receive their funds through grants, donations, grants and donations. Basically, that's pretty much how they get their money. And the wording for a major nonprofit, I understand you said Planned Parenthood. Is it like their revenue? Like if they make $100 million a year in collections, is it
exactly? So like I said, our colleagues again will have to define those parameters. X amount of funding annually from their reports with Letitia James's office, the Charities Bureau, for that kind, number of employees. Like this different kind of calibers to make sure this is implemented. For example, the MWB program here in the state has some kind of requirements for minority businesses to apply and things of that nature. So these systems are in place. And like I learned in the first student government in America at the city college is that, everybody wants to create their own, do their own thing, but why don't you guys just implement what's in place and make it better? So these systems are there. The regulatory bodies are there. It's just that us, the managers, the elected officials, we have to manage this in such a way that it gets done. Again, the stigma is there, but nonprofits can't be taxed, Dion. That's what it's for. Well, New York State is a nonprofit industry, would you say, making billions of dollars off our poverty, let's say. Wouldn't it be better use if we could put that over here? Because if you think about it, these grants are designed to not solve a problem. They're designed to exacerbate the problem because now you have employees linked to that grant and those other things. A principal once told me, which I won't say, that the worst thing that could happen to a failing school is success. Because once the school becomes successful and the grades go up and the behavior goes up, then those grants and goodies are removed and that school implodes. So if we could wean ourselves off this grant dependency and poverty industry and nonprofit industry and have regulated a little bit better, we actually could have a better society now.
And once again, I'm not saying I disagree with what you're saying or have any conflicts in there. I don't see it going well in like small towns saying we want to tax nonprofits. I just don't see that happening.
It's just the marketing, again, I said major nonprofits, and we know who they are, that are linked to the Department of Homeless Services as vendors who get this major discretionary funding federally, stately, and city council wise. We know who they are. And that, again, my colleagues like yourself in the state Senate and even on the federal level and beyond, we have to define that. But once again, it's a solution to a problem, and it's a how we have to redefine the New York State tax code. It's there, it's being implemented anyway. And again, unionize. If you unionize workers in these major nonprofits instead of at-will workers, that's another source of revenue and collective bargaining and organizing. Another group that will be coming to lobby for such efforts in Albany. So,
and Claire, what you passively said was at-will workers. Which means there's certain states like in New York, technically at-will workers can be fired for any reason without cause. That, and to prevent that, you would want to unionize, which would help. But once again, that's one of those things I don't see happening.
And that's the part of the problem. You must see it happening because you have to try to implement. You're running for Congress. You can't be saying these things can't happen. Well, you have to say, these is what I'm going to try to do. If I fail at it, I'm not a liar. A lot of elected officials aren't liars. They just can't deliver. But as you can see, these policies are practical instead of saying, we need more programs, or I think this, or maybe we should look into that. No, this is the system. This is how it works. That's why civic education and engagement as a lifestyle, by having these small positions running for office, helps you see that it is possible. What are the bylaws? What's the New York City Charter? What's the New York State Constitution implemented? Instead of all this social emotional learning in which our children actually are getting in public schools as well, instead of critical thinking as they do in the other sector, private or homeschooling.
Well, one of the words I like to use, and one of the things I love doing, is constructive dialogue. Let's say right now you and me talking, two candidates for positions, two advocates, two nonprofit leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Although I don't see that taxing nonprofits would be advantageous or be a hit amongst the general public, there are things that I think would be more realistic, such as changing the amount of money that nonprofits have to use for their services, vice the percentage that is now. For let's say for New York State, it's been a while since I looked at it, but if I remember correctly, only 10% of your gross revenue really have to go for the services that you want to provide. And that's where it brings a lot of conflicts. Whereas you see major nonprofits, like you said, like the Red Cross or Planned Parenthood, have executive officers making like $2-3 million, vacations in villas in Italy and private cars and riding around in horses and stuff like that, instead of the funds being directed more towards the services that they should be providing. They'll have more money in marketing than they have for their services. They might align themselves with certain political leaders to accomplish some kind of agenda instead of focusing on the services that they need to provide.
Well, again, Gonzalo, how is the thing? So one thing I would say, how is that a New York State Attorney General's office and also New York State Comptroller and some other things, one dangerous word again from policy, audit. All these major nonprofits must be audited, especially if we're taking federal, state, and local money. Even if you're registered with the New York State Department of State for a nonprofit or 501c3, you must be mandatory to, if a major nonprofit, to be audited by our system. Where's the money going? The fiscal calendar is June 30th to July 1st. I understand in May and April, you guys want to dump all that money to, balance the budget to get the same amount of money the next cycle. But no, we want to see where the money's going. So this is where the government has to be a regulatory body of its nonprofits and agencies to making sure they're synergetic and actually solving the problem. For example, how many children have you serviced? That's great and all, but how many students have graduated with this GPA? Then you're saying something. How many students haven't gotten suspended, expelled from this to that? That's saying something. What is your strategic plan to wean yourself off the grant? How about that? And so that way this problem is phased out. Let's take cure violence and gun violence. You get grant money to solve gun violence, but the more gun violence goes up, the more funding you get. But if we fix the problem of gun violence and people behaving themselves and, so the nice solid community and gun violence goes down, oh my goodness, there goes that grant out the window. So all your people you've hired and the gun violence mobiles and the free t-shirt givers and all that stuff, they're going to be out of a job. So what is your transition strategic plan to wean people off and nonprofits off these monies and actually show real results, real time?
Well, obviously, the many of the things that you just said makes common sense. Those are practical things to say. Now, would it go great amongst the general public? I don't think so. And I've felt my share of opinionated people as well over the years. I in the same light that you're saying those things. For me, one of the things that I penned a letter a couple months ago was, the increase in pantries that are out there. The more services that are coming out, the more food that's being distributed, whereas the understanding of those pantries having to be there is the worst indication for us as a community, as a city, as a nation to say we need to feed more people because they're in need and dire stress. They're starving, they're poor, etc.
Guilt and shame to make us react and the thing. But again, it's a mentality and lifestyle. And one thing I've always said that's going to break the cycle of poverty is access to leadership of our community, access to ownership of our community, and access to capital to actually implement all three. In the Bronx, for example, they keep us so poor, dependent, dumb, helpless, and hopeless. That's how you have a Governor Happy Hochul saying that children in the Bronx don't even know what a computer is, because the mentality of these liberal progressives that don't live here but make so much money off our poverty and lifestyle, they see this. The problem with DEI is that people like that fund and control these offices with leadership, capital, and ownership, they have low expectations of us. And that's why they can say these poor kids in the community in the Bronx, they don't even know what a computer is. And we got to have more programs to the programs.
Black kids don't know.
Yeah, the black kids. Yeah, those black ones. There's no such thing as brown kids. I'll tell you that. That's only needed for marketing, this brown stuff. I think it should just be black. How about that? Because as you can see, the brown kids, they obviously know what a computer is.
The funny thing is we're on a computer right now, right? And the worst part is that she's probably going to win with a landslide record, even though she said that publicly. And she can backtrack all she wants, but it doesn't change the fact that it was said, And if it was any other person that said it, let's say if Trump said it or if a conservative individual said it, it would be, the end of their career. So I find it amazing.
Career, but okay.
I'm sorry?
Not Trump's career, but okay.
Well, I'm saying that specific, I think would be, but any individual, I think would be, and it's, but then now that goes into the civic engagement that you were talking about earlier. In your capacity within civic engagement, what have you done to try to market these goals of yours?
Wow. Okay. These candidate forms like it is now. Because I really don't have any power as a legislature to make these happen. I don't lobby. I don't do letter campaigns and phone back to these people's offices, and press conferences and rallies. The only way to make sure these things happen to these people is run for office. The only way, in my opinion, that you hold these people accountable is run for office and or knock them off the ballot that's running for office. Because we, the people, are their employers. They keep saying that, and their supervisors. And you should hold us accountable. You should know this and a third. Educate yourself in the process. But the best way is the lifestyle, which is running for office. And then seeing what the New York State election law says, and seeing what the bylaws are. Who are these democratic and political clubs? How do I get a part of this? How do I get access? That's one where I didn't use earlier, but access is a big thing in this lifestyle that a lot of people are denied by being lulled to sleep by all the goodies. For example, Dion, we can't talk politics here because then we might lose our nonprofit status, now 501c3. We might lose our free school toys, school supplies, and turkeys, and prom dresses, and all these wonderful things in our pantry. But the people are getting more dependent on the government. The cliches of our big government, but then people are becoming more dependent. They need more pantries now because they don't have the mindset to buy their own turkey, because, they want to stay below. Exactly. They want to stay just the right thing right there. I'm going to say this too. The minimum wage increase nationwide to $15 an hour is coming back to buy a lot of people. But like one of my colleagues said when they were trying to implement the law for minimum wage, $15, they said, Dion, if they do this, people are going to lose all the benefits because now they're making actually a minimum wage. So how are they going to transition when we nurse those people off the benefits to live this new lifestyle of minimum wage, which they think is great, being promoted great, everybody's going to be rich. And sure enough, now people are trying to do, again, like education, the bare minimum, to stay afloat, to have their cake and eat it too. Because now you're going to take away their apartment with all the benefits because you're making more money. So now you are making so much money now that you won't receive food stamps and all these other wonderful things. So it's a mindset. So you're going to change what's in your control, starting with yourself.
Well, bringing that up, once again, and this is where something we share very similar ideologies is putting the pressure and the position back at the people. When when I tell people, well, if you don't like the way things are going, get up and do something about it. Change the votes, run for office. One thing that you specifically highlighted right there, over my 10 years as a nonprofit leader, case management work that I've done, one of the things that I've seen is that very scenario happens so often. Somebody that's receiving, let's say, public assistance or some kind of financial assistance, even if they want to get out of that system, it's hard for them because any assistance that they get, increase of pay, change of service, any even outside resources that might help them one time could affect any balance with their stability. If somebody that's in a shelter right now, that's moving into, let's say, public housing, now they want to, increase, maybe get a car, get some better clothing. I don't know, anything. And they're like, well, let me get a part-time job. They get that part-time job, and guess what? Now their rent is increased. Some of their maybe see financial services that they were getting benefits either stops or is considerably reduced. So now that balancing act, what is somebody going to say? Do I take this opportunity where I might get a job and get fired in a couple weeks or months, or something my disability might aggravate, or do I stay comfortable where I am and just keep the status quo?
But then again, that goes back to individualism, as they say, where people want change, but they don't want to change. Therefore, very little will change.
One of the biggest things right now, let's say, for the Conservative Party, which you're in right now, you guys got the Bronx. There we go. We got 18 conservative candidates running for office this year. 18 out of the 21 legislative positions that are available. The people in the last couple of years haven't had anybody to many of these individuals hadn't had anybody to vote for besides the incumbent, or the Democratic Party's false what's it called, primaries,
False primaries. Okay, go.
Oh, come on, you and I know it's just a waste of money majority of the time,
Okay.
When you have individuals not only winning by tens of thousands of votes, vice, a couple hundreds or a dozen, it makes it look pretty obvious that there's a real disadvantage of what's going on with the people, getting their voices out there, the media, the leaders that are running, and then no competition and walking into it once they finish just the Democratic Party primary. If you win the primary, you pretty much know you're going to win. That's the way it's been for many years.
But things are changing. You have to do inspirational talk like Blexit would and say, hey, the tide is turning, because thanks to the Democrats with their low voter turnout but not showing any votes, any results, and they keep saying voting is your superpower, then they realize, like, Dion, wait a minute, these developers that come into the Bronx, they don't vote, but how come they have so much power to do whatever they want? But, as we see in the 13th city council district, with the first Republican win in 40 years, the Bronx Conservative Party, by the numbers, helped make that happen. So as the Democrats' voter turnout levels are going low, and as we re-educate and re-register people into our party and beyond, do the work in the community, following the same Democrat freebie script and all those other great things, but with our civic education piece, things are changing. And now, thanks to my plan to get rid of the Working Families Party, the fourth party line, question 14 in the voter registration form, things are changing, and we have lots of possibilities to win. Thanks to nominating Donald Trump on our party line and some others, if people are so disgusted and vote Republican, Trump, and other straight down, it's a possibility we can win. And those are the strategy, because I'm a strategist as a consultant, that I believe we can use to have more victories. If we win one race this cycle in the Bronx, we're saying something, and the wind is blowing in a different direction. So that's why I'm giving people words of encouragement, resources, and information that can help them empower themselves. Because people's like, oh, woe is me, doom and gloom. We see you, Jason, District 2, City Council, 2025, matching funds. Hit up Jason and make sure you support him down there and help him with his petitions, all those great things, because it's not easy being a candidate for office by yourself the first time out. But you got to get beat up. You got to lose, but you got to learn the process. And these processes will help you what's going on behind the curtain. Once you see what's going on behind the curtain, you might be so disgusted, you get back in the matrix and say, hey, this politics stuff's not for me. Or you say, you know what, I want to keep fighting and running for office and learn these things and getting access. Or it might help you find your role in the political civic leadership by opening up a nonprofit or starting your own business, or helping other candidates run for office and seeing what a community board is and getting access to all these government goodies and services that are hidden in plain sight because the county committee low levels aren't filled. Information is not to be disseminated. Once people start seeing what's going on, they actually really start to learn how to hold their elected officials accountable with the education of their children, with what's going on in the community and sense of development with the land use committee and things of that nature. Oh, well, I have another guest here. Go ahead, big brother. Jason, I'll shut up.
No, you're good. How you doing, everybody? It's your baby mama's favorite DJ and your baby mama's soon-to-be favorite councilman, Jason Murillo here. What's up, boys? How's it going?
Thanks for joining us, Jason.
Yeah. I've just been watching you guys even when I was in the shower. I've been listening to this very inspiring.
Wait. You're
watching us in the shower? What the
hell? No. I was listening to you guys in the shower. You know.
Okay, there we go.
And it was a very intellectual conversation. It was very good. I heard a lot of positive things about you. You're very intelligent. You have very innovative ideas, simple common sense values, which we all share here. And I look forward to you supporting you any way we can, and to help you get elected. In the Senate. We need more educated, conservative people like yourself.
Thanks, man. And we're going to support you in 2025. And the one thing I do commit, and I'm going to do this publicly because I'm about action, not all this pontificating. Okay. I want to help you, brother, knock your opponent off the Working Families Party line. Because I can do my stuff in plain sight. Once we are to achieve this, brother, you have a better chance of winning. I want to do that from the mayor on down. Because once we go to the Working Families Party line, like in the Bronx when they didn't use it, we have a better chance of winning on this side of the fence. So if you wanna shake on that virtually, brother, that's what I commit to your campaign. I can't give you money, but I give you my pro bono consultation services for this project. But that's my strategy. No, I'm a consultant. Somebody said, Dion, you know the mechanics of this election stuff. So I'm the mechanic you can trust. Not even election lawyers can see what I see because I'm so much in the trenches. They can only come in and scrub your petitions and go to court and fight for you, commissioner's hearing. But me, I'm the one that actually knows what it takes to get the signature. How to navigate the projects and make sure you get the fastest signatures in there. Help you as a candidate engage the public with a simple script, not a long freaking survey. Be genuine, come up with solutions, and all it takes, brother, is that one door. Gonzalo will tell you, I did the work for him. It took that one door to get Tyreek on board as a team. He's going hard for us. That little old lady that nobody listens to, she want to invite you to her house. I said you can't go, but no candidates ever knocked on my door before. Oh my God. And I'll be next to you. Like, hey, did you know that there's some first-time home buyers money? I didn't get into my housing plan, but you could get $100,000 with Home First. Go online, go Home First New York, and get $100,000 for your first-time home buyers money, condo co-op, or house in the New York City area. You could double dip with NACA.com, NACA.com, National Home Buyers First Time Monies. These people are floored by simple things that's at a community board meeting on a flyer on a table, in which you have access to one of those meetings or virtually and bring it to them. Next thing you know, you're a superhero. Win or lose, that person's gonna remember you if you follow up and come to their family day or the tenant association meeting. That means a lot.
Mr. Powell.
Yeah, I've been doing that for decades here in the Lower East Side East Village, Alphabet City. I'm a celebrity out here, me and Vero G, and I have the advantage and to be the only candidate running for City Council District 2 that actually is from here, that grew up here, and my fiance was born here, born and raised. And we live in public housing. So you already know people in public housing, already know who they're voting for. And then once I walk across the street to the high-rise big condominiums, they're going to vote for me too because I'm the only candidate on any party, any side that is going to bring law and order back to our communities. And God, because we got churches that are closed here, and it's disgraceful that Carlina Rivera, who's supposed to represent this district, is allowing not only businesses to close, community centers, daycares, hospitals, but also churches. So where's all that taxpayer money that she's in charge of for the cultural affairs and community affairs? Where's all that money going to, and why are we defunding the police when we should refunding them?
DJ Loudmouth, just so the audience that don't know, we put your campaign in the beginning. Can you tell them who you are and what you're doing for next year?
Okay, so I'm a longtime resident of Lower East Side, East Village, Alphabet City.
LES.
LES, raised since I came
Sixth
here.
borough, the lower deck.
Yeah, that's right. I thought the sixth borough is Florida, but maybe that's the seventh borough. But yeah, the sixth borough for sure. LES, all day, every day. But yeah, so I came here in the Lower East Side, East Village, around '89. From because me and my mother was going around shelters around the city, leaving our domestic violence father and stuff like that. So we came here, was living in Baruch. It's called the Castle, as a shelter for families, transitional housing until they find permanent housing for us. So we were there for a couple of years, and I got to meet Princess Diana. If you look on YouTube, I'm actually in the video when she visited low-income families in the East Village, Lower East Side. She came to Baruch to the shelter, and I'm in the film, even though the film is old and grainy. It's on YouTube, and I'm shaking her hand, took a photo with her, and she hugged me. I'm just like several other minority kids, Hispanic, Spanish, Black, and everything like that. So moving forward, I've been here since 1992 in Jacob Reed's houses and everything out of my own pocket the past several years alone with Gonzalo's help. And before Gonzalo's help, we donated thousands of book bags to cookouts every year, school supplies. We do holiday toy drives and everything, and give back since I'm in the position to be. I used to work with Hot 97 part-time with Drewski and all that. Now I work at WPAT 930 on the AM dial. I'm a part of iHeartRadio.com, the digital team. With Gonzalo, he has digital content on there weekly, 24/7 vet talk, and now with the Situation Room that we're doing right here and stuff like that. So even though I'm not rich, I don't have the $1 million salaries like these politicians that we're talking about, or not even Drewski money yet. But we still find a way to all give back to our communities. And to wrap it up here forward, the best way that I can help my community right now is to officially run for city council. And that is what I'm doing. I put my name in the ring, as they say. I have a professional wrestling background as well, being a pro wrestler. So I have officially entered the ring, the political arena, from the radio, from the wrestling ring into politics. I'm leading by 21 points right now over my Democratic challenger, who Colleen is in the back, her next puppet. And we're going to ensure that 2025, just like when Trump gets reelected very easily this November, and Gonzalo hopefully gets elected to Congress, you get elected to Senate, we're going to have a clean sweep, conservative Republican sweep the next 2 years here in New York City. And right here is a takeover like the NWO back in the day, if you're a wrestling head. The NWO took over WCW, ran the wrestling world. We're taking over politics here, and we're going to bring common sense. We're going to bring law and order, and we're going to bring God back to our communities and put New Yorkers and minorities first.
Look how interesting that is. Somebody running for city council, somebody running for Senate, and one for Congress. Look how interesting that is. I like
we
that.
the people. We the people, remember.
And then if you look at our backgrounds, look, African American, Hispanic, Italian, Hispanic, Caucasian right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
All working together for a common cause for the better good. Huh. Interesting.
Definitely.
Look, I want to digress a little bit because back into the politics part. Jason, I know you know some things about this, and maybe Dion can throw in a little bit more. I know it's for time. Dion, do you mind if we keep you for a little bit longer?
Yeah, like I said, I'll live here until 5, okay?
All right. Well, we won't say that long, but It's a little bit longer.
Say, we could eat together as a part 2. What do you think, Gonzalo?
Yeah, I want one of those steaks. I'll be watching this mother effer eating big steaks and stuff, and I'm eating.
Yes, that's strange. Yeah. That's very strange. You're the only one eating steak, and we're over here eating tuna
Roman
fish.
noodles.
Well, you know, everybody sees the steak. Nobody sees the cup of noodle soup Monday through Friday. That's the problem you guys don't see. So if we digress a little bit, there was something important that Dion mentioned. The change of dynamic for, let's say, unilateral party, Democratic Party winning consistently.
Yeah.
You know,
I know that firsthand where I live at. I could tell you that for the past 30 years.
Yes. And now to be specific, and this is a good topic because it's going to go towards your area as well. You know, in the Bronx for the last 40 years, we've only had Democrats. We just got our first Republican candidate in 40 years and first female Republican as well in a legislative office. Now, the dynamics of her, Christy Marmorato, Councilwoman, Christy Marmorato making it into office was a little shaky. You know, there's reports out there, you know, her brother being the state chair, the party chairman for the county, her husband being in the Board of Elections while she was running for a regular person, not politician background. So you know, it's a little fidgety in my point of view. But even with the support of the Republican Party, she barely won. Now she did win, but a good portion, the deciding factor was the Conservative Party. Was the Conservative Party coming out, and the main factor that I want to throw in that Dion mentioned was the low numbers for the parties, but the percentages for the conservatives what matters to me. Now, not only being the conservative representative, you know, the Democratic Party. Let's say for over there, I think it was like 5,000. Don't quote me on these numbers, but you know, let's say the Democratic Party had 5,000 votes for her. You know, in the Democratic Party, there's like tens of thousands of registered Democrats that didn't come out. You know, so only 5,000. That's probably maybe like less than 20 or 30% of the registered voters coming out to vote. For the Republican Party, it's probably a little bit higher, maybe 8-10%. The 4,000, 300 that came out to vote for her, and then the Conservative Party, which has the smallest numbers, having like a 92-93% voter turnout. Even though our numbers are a lot smaller, the percentage that came out to vote was, unprecedented, and also gave that deciding factor. Now, I would like to see a conservative member win in office. Dion, from your consulting, your background, your years of experience, you're attuned to doing something in the future that I'm assuming you have something incredibly planned this year for not only for yourself, but for other people. What do you think it will take for a Conservative Party member to win office?
Okay. Well, once again, Dion's going to get into the minutia with your civic education. There's a process called cross-party endorsements. And the Republican Party will have to follow us for a change, just like with me, just give me your party line. And then our numbers of voters on the Conservative Party line for November will have to surpass the two main ones. And that would show that we are driving force and we're beyond just the third party voting, which is the vision that I hopefully have.
So now this year you have 18 candidates running for office. You have yourself and a few other individuals that are conservatives with the Republican line. What more you think can be done?
Oh, that's easy. Well, you could do, once again, I try to lead by example and talk about what I've done and what I'm doing. If you want to follow suit or do your own thing based on my stuff, that's great. You have to take it to the people. I went to Throgs Neck Projects and I re-registered nearly 100 people in the Conservative Party because these people didn't even know existed. Some people thought, I came home from jail. I'm black. I have to be, I thought I'd be a Democrat, and I said, well, here's a voter registration form, question 14. I was on retainer from George Half for giving me an opportunity. Shout out to George for approving this game plan. And they said, oh my God, I didn't know I could do that. Of course, here, just check off this box. There's the 4 parties. You can even do this as a nonprofit, Double Dog USA. I did it and just table, because I always thought voter registration drives are a gimmick. They are, because you have to activate the voters that already exist. Because if you get a new registered voter, they vote and they see it's crap. They're like, well, I'm not doing this again. It's a gimmick. So if we have a voter registration and education and re-registration drive, you would just go over question 14 as a nonprofit and not be so scared, I'm going to lose my tax exemption if I talk politics. No, you want to register to vote. That's the gimmick for your nonprofit. Educate these people on question 14. Those 4 political parties say they can update their form to anyone. Make sure you show them the websites, the mission statements, what they've done, and say, here, this is a assessment form. This is a report card, because we don't do that anymore. And just say, hey, what you want to do here? And people couldn't leave the Democratic Party, some of the Republican Party, to the Conservative Party, or even the Working Families Party, or just actually withdraw from the party. Some people thought they locked in for life. You can actually, re-register and be a blank, which is non-affiliated, and that's okay too. One thing I don't do with civic education is guilt and shame people to vote. Never. If you don't want to vote, that's fine. This Jehovah's Witnesses don't vote, and life's okay for them. So there's other processes you can use to your advantage besides the super black power of voting. Because the only place in the nation where there is no separation of church and state is the black church. But I won't talk about that right now. So that's what I've done, what I encourage people doing, Gonzalo, what we're doing now. And then once you do that, make sure you give these people access to our world. You could be a county committee person, have a little title. A minister, you could be a district leader in your area. Come to community board meeting, see what it's about. You could go virtual now. Just sit there and say nothing.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying, let's say somebody wants to start out in politics, all they have to do is just grab a stack of these and get people to fill it out?
No, actually, you can go to vote.nyc and you can do it there as well. Because most of this information is hidden in plain sight. Now, the old form, we can go door to door and do it fine. Or we can have a tablet or even on phone and do it door to door. That's the only way. You got to hold these people's hands to do it. I mean, you could do that. The registration card's fine, but sometimes people's handwriting or our handwriting is not good. But you can scan them in, take them to the board. But then again, this is where civic education piece comes into play, because in order to vote in the primary or to pull out the party or update your political party, you have to do it by Valentine's Day every year. So it's the same routine, and have those applications submitted. Then after the primary, again, you have a certain window block to re-register and to do a political party. So these things are part of lifestyle, which makes me somewhat of a civics geek, but it empowers me to help others. And you'd be surprised to look at the politicians' faces when I educate people in front of their face and they get disgusted. Or one of the constituents walks up and says, hey, I was wondering about, this discretionary funding stuff. Can my nonprofit get one too? And they're like, oh, how do you know about that? What are you supposed to know? You're not, let me worry about that. And so that's when the eyes start cracking open, like, wait a minute. I thought you was my friend. I took a picture with you. Aren't I your friend? And I was like, well, hey, friend. Then you got
I got several pictures with a lot of politicians, and the same ones. Most of them, except Kathy Hochul and Tisha James, the rest of them won't return my calls or give me a meeting now.
Well, and to be in perspective for those individuals that may not,
I'm a long time Democrat.
For those that may not have run for office before, and we're making it sound a little pretty easy, but, once you step into this arena, there are things that are going to come up. I mean, you're talking about your time. Running for office is like having another job, a third job. Investing, you have to invest money as well, capital in this. For the campaign finance board, there's like 3 pages on how to take out loans, but only like 1 page on how to do it on yourself without major funds. And then the way your life can change, where people, the politicians get death threats. People don't like what you're seeing. You get aggravation and stuff. People that you knew before may disassociate from you because of you're putting your political.
Even your own mother will turn on you when you run for office. You'll see who's who. Believe me.
Or even cousins.
And then you might have a dozen people backing you up on Monday, and they're saying they're going to help you out all, throughout your campaign, and then one by one, family emergency, family, this and job stuff and being busy, those things come up. And, I try not to take it into heart. Do you have any advice for anyone they may be wanting to join? Something positive, because right now I don't want to be the negative things, but can you give some light on some positive things on why you would want to run?
Me or
yes, yes. This is Jason's first time, so I want him to get some feedback on it as well.
More free
content. And I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win my first try. How about that?
Good. Okay.
Because, I'll let you speak, because nobody knows the democratic system here better than me for over 20 years, working with them hand by hand, hoping to win several elections, and working in the Board of Elections. But continue. Go ahead.
Well, that's you might have said it. The Board of Elections may be a way as an employee, or do some of poll watcher trainings that we have here for certain organizations and civics groups. And you may want to find out or go to ManhattanDemocrats.org or something like that and look up the Manhattan Democratic Party and see all the little political clubs. I got to admit, the Manhattan Democratic Party or New York County Democratic Party, they're kind of transparent with county committee, where the clubs are and stuff like that. Go to a meeting and say, I'm a registered Democrat, or go to Republicans. I'm a registered Republican. Can I come to the meeting? I just want to observe. That's it. Just sit there and observe. That's it. Take notes or whatever. If you may have the courage to ask a question or ask somebody a question after the meeting, that's another process. There are certain civic groups you can do. You can either attend an association meeting, or you may want to join Blexit, my organization, or even NAACP, or an organization like that has a little bit civic engagement, but you might want to go to a lot of them, either blue Kool-Aid swirlers and dicks, or conservative side, like the Republican, New York Young Republican Club. That's a very active and transparent and learning, which is great. And other civic groups and organizations as well. Or, repmyblock.org. I can't encourage you for Theo Chino, who's my Yoda. Repmyblock.org will give you the tools for free to run for office, your voter walk list, to become county committee or district leader. And that goes a long way. And then
myblock.org.
Rep, R-E-P, myblock.org. Repmyblock.org. And you get these tools for free. He's a real socialist. The DSA kicked him out. He's a socialist.
Wait, how you spell that?
I'll put it in chat. Repmyblock.org. And that's another resource that you'll use citywide. And this cycle will be great next year. It depends. Next year, Manhattan County does have that county committee. So you can run for county committee positions in Manhattan County. So this would be a great way to start if you're in Manhattan County like yourself. You can run for, a lot of people don't know, you can run for county committee and city council at the same time. Isn't that great? And also judicial delegate at the same time. Do all of it. Have a whole slate with just nothing but your name straight down for all these positions but this is how you actually get your slate together. Meaning that you at the top of the ticket of city council, but then you have everybody vested in your campaign besides giving you money. That's great, but you have your 10 association president there. You have your mom for the PTA there, and they're all representing their block, but they're all vested. They're running for office and they're learning. Let's say you put a slate together and they all get knocked off the ballot. That's great, because they're gonna be like, why, how, when, who, or they'll just say, I'm not doing this no more. But the one person you get like, why, how, and who, I want to fight again because this is not right. And you're gonna get some more tools for the next cycle and say, hey, state senate assemblies. What do you got? The guy down there, Epstein. He's down there. What's his name? Harvey.
Yeah, Harvey Epstein. Him. We have. Actually, right here, because I'm attending I wasn't invited to have an attend association meeting next. There's fractions here. We have like a civil war going on in our projects here. We have different splinters of the 10 associations. But I guess the official tenant association next Tuesday, May 14th, is having people from different offices are going to be coming. And I'm trying to get, I don't know what's going on with the camera here.
No, because you have the backdrop. So yeah, hold it like that. There, that we focus. There you go. And,
so next Tuesday, they're going to have representatives from Congressman Dan Goldman, Senator Brian Canahan, Assemblyman Harvey Epstein, Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine, and of course, our favorite Carlina Rivera, the current councilwoman for District 2. And you're also going to have Jason Murillo and Veronica Gonzalez is going to be there too, since we're representatives of the Conservative Party, and I am the city council candidate here, and going to be the next city councilman. So, and I do represent my hood. I don't come out once every 4 years when it's time to get elected. I'm out here outside, like Drewski says, on the FM dial, on the AM dial. We outside. I'm gonna be outside, not only here, but I'm doing a rally at 3 p.m. and I encourage you to come to fight the closure of Mount Sinai, Beth Israel. That is next Tuesday, May 4th. May 14th at 3 p.m. across the street from Mount Sinai, Beth Israel, the corner of First Avenue and East 16th Street. My cameras are gonna be there since I have my own media, I have my own radio, television. I invited news if anyone wants to come. 3 p.m. and we're gonna do a voter registration drive right there on the spot. So
Well, my question is this: all these flyers and meetings and stuff that you attend and you're participating in, do you put this on all your platforms?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That he doesn't have a problem with. That he doesn't have a problem with.
I have 18. Since I control my social media, I own my own radio station. I work at other radio stations. I have full creative control. I'm a TV producer for Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Brick TV, Brooklyn Free Speech, BronzeNet, even though BronzeNet, for some reason, doesn't want me to go in for an interview or anything. And MNN, I'll be back there very soon. I was just short of that recently. We're all going to be back there very soon at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Gonzalo, and you get to join us too. So, So I got my own radio, AM, FM. We got television. My social media, Instagram alone, have 18,000 followers. So,
yeah, but you see, you're going to have to be methodical. That's another vocabulary word I am, with something called CRM and advanced systems and stuff like that, in which you integrate and you download all those contacts. It's a nice Excel CSV file and some other methodologies with, phone banking and peer-to-peer text and email. So you got to be very methodical in this industry.
Yeah, and I'm using cutting edge AI technologies, the same technologies that both the Biden and Trump campaigns use. So we have cutting edge AI analytical technologies. I'm a numbers guy. I wish I could learn how to use it for the stock market, but one day we'll get there.
Yes.
But I'm using that to our advantage, and for my campaign and for Gonzalo's campaign. And if anybody else wants that information, that help, hit up DJ Loudmouth for your next Congressman, Gonzalo Duran.
Now, Dion, regarding one of the topics that I wanted to mention, we talked about the different parties out there. So besides the Democratic Party, there's a Republican Party. Well, at least for New York, there's the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, the Family Workings Party. Then there's individuals that are not slated into a party. Why attack the family working parties and not the Democratic Party?
That's good question.
Because I'll be attacking the Democratic Party, and I'm gonna have half of them already switched. They're already switched over. They're gonna be switching over. So, but continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the voter enrollment. I just gotta write this note down for Jason.
Basically, the Democrats use these extra party lines to, if there's a contested race, like a real challenger like us three, they use these third party parties, like the working parties, the Green Party, all those parties, to help get them extra votes.
Right, because some people don't feel comfortable voting Democrat, but they say, "Hey, Working Families Party, that's progressive enough for me to vote for," and it's added up. Like the third party signatures add up for the Republican candidate. The cross-party endorsement. But to answer your question is this: the voter enrollment is what determines the petition count. For example, Democrats or 1,500, 16 count, city council, whatever it is. But for Working Families Party, there's such low voter registration, it could be something as low as 4 signatures. Some of ours are 8 signatures on the Conservative Party line. So what you do is, these people are so haphazard. I knocked 2 people off the ballot. I allowed Congressman Adrian Esper off the ballot. and also Assemblywoman Udoka Tapia off the ballot.
Wow.
So I attacked all 9 Working Families Party candidates in the Bronx. The big fish was AOC. If you Google AOC, Working Families Party Bronx, you might see my name in the New York Post doing just that. And you can only change what's in the power of control. Who thought something so small would get such national attention? But that's something I can do within my control. Fight the dragon with a toothpick. And I keep saying it over and over again. Oh, nothing's going to change. You can't do anything. I proved it. We proved that Bronx was the first Republican city council win with the Bronx Conservative Party. So, seeing as though the voter registration is low, one methodology I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the projects again and beyond and re-register my network strategically under the Working Families Party. Because once they're Working Families Party members and we run them from city council and mayor for Working Families Party, that means everybody else can't do it. So let's say Eric Adams runs for re-election and the Working Families Party wants to hedge their bets and put Mayor Adams on the ticket. If Dion has his Working Families Party candidate that's registered in the Working Families Party, they can't do that. So what does Dion have to do? He has to come out of pocket, fundraise, whatever, and take these people to Board of Elections, commissioners meeting, then take them to court and say, hey, you know, this is our registered Working Families Party candidate for mayor. This guy over here is not a Working Families Party registered voter. And you have to say bye-bye off the ballot. Wow, and gavel. They're going to be mad. You should watch the commissioner's hearings if you're a geek to see how it went down with me. And
I'm sure you watched House of Cards. I know
no, I don't watch that show.
No?
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
It sounds like you took some ideas from there.
Nah, I just lived the life.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to come down here and help me with a few of those things, and I'll definitely make sure personally you get that big steak dinner and your favorite beverage of choice on me.
Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time in my community, you can't afford me as a consultant, but at least feed me. For example, I did District 1. Sean Hayes was my client in 2021, and we went to District 1, and he got on the ballot. And thanks to ranked choice voting, you know, he came in like 4th or something like that. And that's another thing you have to educate these sheep on, is that next year is ranked choice voting again, y'all. Come on, y'all. And that's going to be something I advise you to do, Jason. Get all that free bees for ranked choice voting, the flyers, the stickers, and everything. Make it your own and bring it to the people. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know about ranked choice voting. We have to do that again? And you're like, yeah, but my name is Jason Murillo. I'm here to give the civic education. That's one more vote for you because you took the manna from heaven, all the freebies. You could order it online and get it for free. And now it's Jason's. You put your business card with it, stable. Here you go, everybody. Wow, Jason's doing such wonderful things. These politicians tell me about ranked choice voting until May. That's not cool. But Jason told me about ranked choice voting since last year. He's been consistent.
Well, ranked choice voting applies for the primary for multiple candidates.
Right, for the political party structure. It's not for the general election. But still, even though Jason's not a Democrat, whatever, just the knowledge alone from providing it is enough to get these people going.
Yeah, I'll definitely make pamphlets and flyers.
No. You're not coming out of budget. What did Dion, the consultant, just say? You get all that for free.
Okay, all right, I got you. You got me. All right.
You have to use the system against itself, so it hemorrhages. Because all these freebies you have access to too, and just say, like the Bronx server, here's the freebies, you people. But since you're here, here's some information about discretionary funding. Here's some information on how to transfer your kid from that racist segregated school. Now go back to those elected officials you took those pictures with and say, hey guys, I need help with this. Can you help me with this? You got my vote and you got my pictures. Then you'll see what happens as they go over there to their friends.
And don't forget, by next year, I'm gonna be coming out with ice cream trucks. I'm gonna rent an ice cream truck for a whole day and give free ice cream out to thousands of kids, and their parents are registered voters.
So now I can understand you attacking the family working parties because
Working Families Party.
Whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. Oh, I can't say it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's a big deal, especially for
that party, because it's low key attainable to attack them. But why not go after the Democratic Party? I mean, because let's say if you kick AOC out of I do want to say it right, the Working Families Party.
Yes.
So let's say you kick them out that party. But she's still in the Democratic Party. So where do you see the benefit of that?
Well, just like with Christie, shout out to Tina Forte, who's running against AOC here in the Bronx. These 4 buckets that these people's votes sprinkle into, you know, and you have to, again, you have to give these people less options. And that's how Christie won. The Democrat figured, oh, wow, this is a purplish district of Bronx. Let me not do Working Families Party because I'll show that I'm a very blue progressive. Let me just do Democrat. I'm going to win anyway. But seeing as though these people only had 3 options, they were so disgusted, they dumped their votes in these 2 options because they're programmed for this one, but they're fed up and disgusted. But they're programmed to vote. Come on, y'all, it's time to vote. They programmed this option over here is racist and the most evil thing in the world. But this option, the third party, okay, you know what? It's not cool to abort somebody at 13 months. You know what? I'm not with this hormone therapy in the schools and drag queen store hour and our libraries are going bankrupt. I'll put my votes over here. And little do they know, thanks to cross-party endorsement, these 2 buckets are united. So again, the Conservative Party will push the Republican ass backwards into office. And that's what's in your control. These low-hanging fruit, as it were, it's attainable. I just proved it to you. These people in the Board of Election Commission hearing the who's who of election lawyers and consultants like, oh, HRSVI is off the ballot, Working Families Party. That gives our candidate, Ruben Vargas, a chance to win in the Heights if these people are so disgusted and focus on voting for the president of the Dominican Republic. And that's what's so scary. Some so small overlooked with simple voter education, but not just that, but implementation goes a long way. So brother Jason is with it. Let's do it. I'm about that life, hitting the streets, and it's something a little simple. Getting the voter data now, thanks to Dion Powell, the New York State Board of Elections has finally gotten it together with their request to get the voter data like that. Before you had to fight for this voter data and have all this money, but Theo Chino, his computer scientist, rep my block, 4 requests, all stuff chipping away. They're like, wow, they're watching. More people are watching. The New York Citizen audit is watching, and they're doing a whole audit. They're like, all right, that forces them. These little small things are fighting to get it together. And now the New York State Board of Elections has all that data right there at the simple request through their portal.
So you think that the change for the Bronx is the trajectory is going to be the same this upcoming election, next year's election? Do you see any possibilities of a non-Democrat winning in office this year or next year?
Well, again, Dion Powell going viral. What is Dion doing? What are you going to do? The thing go this way, right? Is that we're trying to really get Donald Trump to come to the Bronx so these people can see him, tear him, touch him. And you'd be surprised. And that purple district that the city council is red now, that's actually in the heart of AOC's district. The news is not going to tell you that. But just imagine if Donald Trump's votes and disgust come straight down and the Conservative Party bucket and pushes these Republican candidates to win, it's possible. And the voter data is there as a consultant with that Republican win in the Bronx. So if they beat their chests and Tina does her job with what she's doing, Tina Forte, then it's possible to push it up because people are so disgusted. They're going to do a few things. Either they're going to vote for Trump, they're going to vote for a third party, RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., shout out to him, or they're not going to vote or just write somebody in. And all those factors, the mainstream media is not going to give you the analysis breakdown. But we being in here, the real grassroots, and know what's going on, we know that. Because as soon as people see these plastic gimmick campaign literature and all these robocalls and the fear tactics that Donald Trump is going to eat your kids if you don't vote boo, no matter who, then they're going to like, I want to hear this. And they're going to go in there. Nobody's going to look over their shoulder. But they're going to go to these Board of Election sites and they're going to wake up. Because sometimes, even not running for office, but making people aware you're running is enough. Because when they go in there and they try to vote for Jason or Gonzalo, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. What are you doing? Oh, my God. You know what? There's no conservative party on the bottom. What are you talking about? That denial alone sets the chemical imbalance in the brain and say, hey, what's going on here? But then Gonzalo, Jason, Dion, hey, man, we're here to help you. Guess what? That happens all the time. Well, I can't believe the Democrats. Yes, they do. Right here in the bluest county in America, but yet the poorest county, they will make sure you are voter suppressed. They'll make sure you are voter disenfranchised. They try to take Trump off your ballot, right? But guess what? That's actually against the John Lewis, your favorite black Voting Rights Act. That's a violation of the Voting Rights Act of 19, whatever it is, because they're trying to coerce you. They're trying to intimidate you not to vote for Donald Trump. And the only person that can stop that is you. voting for Donald Trump. Oh my God, Donald Trump. Well, then if you want to make a difference, if you, as Michael Moore said, want to say to the establishment, that's the only thing that's going to do it for you. Now, what you going to do now? Because New York is very flippable. Donald Trump only needs 32%, if that much, of New York City's votes to win New York State and make it red. People don't know that information. So we just got to keep beating our chests and getting these people to like, but it's going to snowball. All these issues, migrants that are red pilling people, these wars are red pilling people. And people are like, wait a minute. Most of them don't have a sense of political history. These people forget. But like, wait a minute. This racist, evil, orange monster, we didn't have these problems under him. I don't remember that. It felt actually better. You know, he kept beating his chest about this racist war, but he was onto something with these migrants. This is a problem to be all encompassing and everybody come on in. We love you. Come on, y'all. And that's what's going, I think, with the right direct voter outreach for people like me who was consultant and touch the right people. Say, hey, it's okay to vote for Donald Trump, but on the conservative party line, it's okay. You won't be voting Republican, which is evil. And you can't do, but you got to vote anyway. So why not vote in this conservative party that's right here? You know what I mean? It's okay, and he wins.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, letting Christie was a monument to decision making, and I would say the beginning of maybe some wave that we could possibly have. Donald Trump being coming to the Bronx, I believe would have some effect onto that. Him being elected president, Tina Forte getting a push in the right direction. If she, she's with this campaign 100%. I would like to see more than one person before I say one more person elected before I say we have that push that we need, or that visibly. Because to be honest, once again, all the things that I said about her campaign has made me question what we're going to see. She's up for re-election next year, and if she does it again easily, then that tells us there's a possibility for that red wave to come up and push more people. And it would only benefit the Conservative Party even more if anything, in any of those things that I mentioned would help us in any way. So I look forward to it. I have one more question before we head out.
Stop lying.
Well, one more that I'm going to ask because I know you're pressed for time.
No, I'm not.
Recently, you were at a candidate forum, and I saw the messages that were put out. You've talked about it passing in the conversation we've had. Tell us about it. How did it go? We as candidates, we have to go to these public forums. Not that we have to, but we want to. One, we want to go to them because it's really one of the few opportunities that we have to speak out publicly, because we know most incumbents won't show up to these public debates. They won't do interviews. And
I'm ready for all the smoke.
Yeah,
I have over 25 years of speaking in front of a camera. I am ready for any debate, anytime. I don't need a script like my opponents.
Well, the important factor for you, DJ Loudmouth, is that with your platform, your independent platform that you have, it's another key factor into getting more candidates visibility. So exactly. I understand you can speak. That's one thing. But the main thing that I'm trying to get out is to say
freedom of speech.
Yeah, the venues that allow us to get into position for people to hear us talk. Like right now, when people see this, when they Google you, when they look up, they're gonna see the person that you are, and they're gonna base that off of maybe I might support this guy, I might give donations to this guy.
Same thing with you guys as well.
Yes, exactly. So now, in this political candidate forum that you were in at the Van Ness just last week, I saw your speech. I thought, once again, you always have detailed information. You're always charismatic. You have all those things that people want to see, but the outcome was a little bit negative on both parts. You want to go into that a little more deeper?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, again, I say these people want change, but they don't want to change. So very little will change. And that I answer questions very directly. I don't dance. The big thing is the how, and I'm very good at that. But once you start doing that, and that's against the norm, people aren't used to that kind of thing, and that's when the people turn on you. Because when you run for office, people will turn on you. And I answered the question very directly. How are you going to solve all these problems? And I said, well, in terms of budget, we got to tax the big major nonprofits. Here's how. We have to change the New York State tax code. Not just we need to tax nonprofits that make so much money. No, that's not enough. How? I give them the how. Another thing that when I ran in 2020, and I did there too at the Canning Forum, and they wanted to chase me out of projects. Hey, Dion, how are you going to give these kids some jobs? These kids are doing nothing. Oh, that's easy. All you have to do, and this is what you can do as an elected official, is change the age requirements of summer youth from 14 to 17 instead of 14 to 24, and every kid will be guaranteed a spot. Now, Jason, steal that for your platform and see how these people turn on you. That solved the problem, didn't it? And that's something that with my elected official control is to change the summer youth employment program age requirements from 14 to 24, because an 18-year adult, and that's when I was cut out of summer youth, until 14 to 17. Every kid will be guaranteed a job slot. There will be even more kind of openings for other nonprofit areas. 18 to 24 are adults, and there's other programs for them, even though I'm not saying that. Because I never try to add programs into my script, mind you. Yeah. I'm just saying there are other things for them, and that solves the problem. I said how, that's it, problem solved. But these people, and that's why I helped start the Bronx Libertarian Party. Larry Sharpe is another good one. Sharpe, listen to him. Now he woke me up to these ideologies of just fixing problems. And that takes care of that. Another thing that I loved about this, and that's going to make me even more evil for revenge, is that one of the community leaders, she's really down with the blue Kool-Aid people. Hard body, and we bump heads all the time. And she asked me some questions. And she asked me one question that actually kind of not really threw me off guard per se, but actually made me happy. She said, Dion, I understand you were arrested for drugs in the car. Why don't you tell us about that? I was like, oh, wow, what was this? Oh, yes, that's right. That did happen to me years ago. And you know what? Thank you for that question. And everybody's been arrested. If not, that's fine. But I'm glad you did that background chat that people have to know. But afterwards, I was like, yeah, I was hiding those drugs up my black ass. And if those elected officials who told you this, they can still check up my black ass, because there's some things I'm going to embarrass these people. There's going to be a forum when they give me the microphone in front of these people. They're going to regret it. I'm going to bring this back up too. I'm sure I'm going to do it at clergy breakfast, the police council's breakfast, whatever it is. And I'm saying, hey, officers, I got drugs on me right now. And if any of these elected officials want to come check up my black ass, remember, no glove, no love, but after they wipe it with this citation that they just gave me. Now, how's that sound? Because only certain things judges can look at in your background. So who do we know, and this is another civic education, who do we know that has access to judges? Not only that, who has access to make judges, and actually, so that way they owe them favors like this. Now, did you know, thanks to Dion the consultant, if you have 10 years practicing law, you're eligible to become a judge. A lot of people don't know that. And that's how they go to these political county parties to become a judge. But if Dion comes to you and say, hey, you can run for judge yourself, just practice for 10 years. Here's the paper. Go through this process with ethics committee of the judiciary. Let's make you a judge. Once you're a judge and you're under our party or just independently, you're saying something. And that's something within your control. All three of us might have a lawyer friend somewhere in the world that has 10 years under their belt. We just got to push them to do this and say, hey.
Well, I don't have a law degree, but I studied law for over 20 years.
Well, there you go.
And I help people. I'm a public advocate as well, and I successfully sued the Social Security Administration and took them to federal court, and I won multiple cases against Social Security Administration on behalf of family members and friends, and got judgments, settlements up to 5 figures. And I even helped a few family members and friends in criminal cases and got them off scot-free. Well, and I helped myself with legal issues in the past and represent myself and successfully won.
Well, the thing is, that's why I told you, I'm going to say the same thing to you. Again, like some other colleagues in this political game, we all have to get a cohort together of us and just go to law school. Another solution, Gonzalo, watch this. Criminal justice. Dion, what are you going to do for criminal justice? So that's a good one. Here's how. I'm going to make sure I follow the professor in Minnesota that was trying to pass legislation in which anybody with a criminal record can be eligible to get a JD. Just imagine when people come home and they are pipelined into a Turo college or one of the third tier CUNY law school, and they're all getting these JDs because some of these brothers and sisters, they know more than lawyers they're provided. Hands down. That's a fact. And if they have access to this one thing, access again, another buzzword, they could actually start making some new money and revenue, become business owners, which is something, simple process of changing the law so these people can actually be eligible for law school and become a lawyer. That solves a great problem in need. Don't you guys agree?
Well, I always believe in getting more education and pushing for more.
And I read the Constitution as well. So there you go.
What about the New York City Charter, Councilman? What about the New York City Charter? Did you read the New York City Charter, Councilman? Because those are your rules and bylaws. Did you read the New York City Charter? What's your homework?
Oh.
So when it comes back to the candidate forum, obviously those are things that that came up. How did you feel the backlash from, let's say, social media was?
Well, one of the complaints is it was too long, and I kept saying, "Listen, you guys only gave me 2 minutes. Let me stand up on stage." But again, when you're a problem solver, pew pew, bang bang, troubleshooter like me. Oh, look at this guy! Look at this guy! This guy's trolling, man. Put the gas away.
I am an old school Knick fan, even though I'm a Jersey Net fan. From Kerry Kittles, Keith Van Horn, Jason Kidd, Jason Williams. But I am an old school Knick fan because
hold it steady, so it'll come to focus.
Damn it, this fucking piece of shit. Hold on.
Yeah, well, it's not
coming. Hold on, what's happening?
You gotta have the light and so hold the focus. Oh well, hold it back. Oh well, next time.
Damn it.
So
anyway, it's John Starks. I got a John Starks old frame here, so I wanted to show it to you.
Well, speaking of the Knicks, I'm not watching any games. Oh, look at this guy from the Bronx, Yankee fan. Everybody's very fan. I love it. So I'm not watching the Knicks because they broke my heart in the early 90s.
They're about to go to the NBA Finals.
If I watch them, they're probably going to lose just to spite me. Am I watching it? I'm not watching anything until they win a chip. I'm not watching anything. So anyway, to answer your question, number one, it was too long and drawn out. And I kept saying, listen, guys, I only have 2 minutes here. That's why I was told, no, because like a Hydra, every time Dion solves a problem, he did. He solved the problem of some youth employment. He solved the problem with the nonprofits and the unionization. It always cuts the head off the Hydra of the problem, but it sprouts 2 more or 3 more because they don't want answers. They give me pushback like Gonzalo. You're not supposed to tax nonprofits. I understand it's a business. And they just come up with more and more questions.
I haven't even thought about that.
So I just so that's
look, once again, it wasn't pushback, it was a constructive dialogue. And even Jason that was just heard the basic information outside of everything you said. Once again, I don't think there's things that and I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't think there's certain things that are feasible to come out the gate. And I understand, trust me, I understand, and I've always supported the things that the fact that you do stuff. I don't support that everything that you do, but I support the fact that you do it. That's a key thing because there's people that talk and the people that do. You talk and you do at the same time.
I agree with Dion though that if a nonprofit is taking advantage of the tax system and they're getting tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, that's not a nonprofit. That's a for-profit business. And
well, a nonprofit is still a business in the end of the day. When you go outside the parameters of what you're supposed to do, that's a different story. And from my understanding, what Dion was trying to
audit.
Is audit. Now,
what about Black Lives Matter, the organization that's supposed to be for minorities? Police against police brutality. The people that run it are buying mansions and cars and all this stuff
in white neighborhoods.
You just said it. I don't have to say anything.
So once again, and then once again, it's not the subject that I want to attack on, but it's if we're talking about audit, we're talking about one, the IRS is does nonprofits have to do submit IRS forms. That's one, so they do get reviewed by there. If I'm correct, I know I've done it in the past. Nonprofits do have to have you can get their breakdown of their tax returns because it's public information.
You have to pay for it. It's called GuideStar.
Yes, right there. And then individuals should have some knowledge and research on the organizations that they're funding. It's individual money that you're saying where you want your money to go, and because of that, this includes research. So if the organization doesn't provide the services that they're needing, and for me, I go back to saying a nonprofit, I don't believe the percentage in what they're using their funds for services is enough, and I prefer the goal would be to increase that. I think that would make a big change, and people would say that makes sense. Why is a nonprofit only providing 10% of the funds that they receive for the cause that they're going for? Why not? Why is that even a thing? Why is it not higher?
That's right, Red Cross. That's right, Red Cross. All my contributions, you're taking your 70% cut for administrative costs, and it's mostly administrative costs in these agencies and systems. That's actually a bad thing. For example, the City University of New York was free at the City College of New York, but for some reason, allegedly, implemented tuition, and they said, well, it actually would cost more to implement this tuition stuff with financial aid and the bursar's office, instead of just like in CUNY free. And so those are some of the things you have to know. Just like education, most of the budget goes to oh wow, look at this guy. Most of the budget goes to administrative costs. Are you gonna put on your glasses too, Gonzalo? How about that? And yeah.
Well, Jason, do you have a political question that you think that have someone like Dion's knowledge would be useful for somebody starting out a campaign for the first time?
All right. So I'll tell you from personal experience, being here in District 2 for the past 30 years. How do someone like me guarantees that I make the ballot, since the Democrats are known to throwing anyone, either independent, Republican, neighborhood party, working families, the Democrats here are known to fix elections and run unopposed with no surprise. Like we mentioned, it's not only a Bronx thing, it's a systematic thing throughout New York City and around the country and Democratic strongholds. How do I ensure that I make the ballot and they don't try to throw me off like all my predecessors?
Well, you have to get something called an election lawyer. So if we go to law school, we'll make a lot of money because there's only like 8 of them or 12 of them. They all know each other. They go, we do the dance every time in the Board of Elections Commissioners hearing and the Supreme Court. They go to lunch and just laugh at everybody. Now, I'm not saying that's what happens, but I have a few in my network that I know personally, and they're hard to find. And then ain't no lawyer, white shoe, street, corporate, or whatever, good look free stupid in the commissioners' hearings and the court system because they don't know election law. They think it's easy, but it's not. And number 2, you have to know Rep My Block will help you put the petition together and do it correctly. The reason why I was the only county committee person out of nearly 200 vacancies in District 79 is because they didn't know what they were doing. They were so reliant and dependent on the Bronx County machine and their own means that they got knocked off the ballot because they don't know super things like that when they change the rules. And the most powerful thing the man has is the ability to create and change the rules. That's why civics and this stuff, you got to be a part of this lifestyle and conversation, and that helps you. As a matter of fact, now if you want to get hands-on, volunteer or get paid to do some Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I look at Gonzalo being like us. Hi, I can see you, can finally see what's going on, right? So you might want to volunteer for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s petitions, or Diane Sayre, who has to get 3 times as many signatures for United States Senate. And just learn the process of how to get the signature, what you got to say, sign and print, address, and make sure you do those formats. Everything's hidden in plain sight on the Board of Elections website, the templates and stuff. But that's how you can get your feet wet now for petitionings and say, hey, I would like to help buying petitions or with the election lawyer and volunteer or just get paid to do it. And that's how you get your hands dirty with this operations. The election lawyers only see the receiving end when they're stacked in front of them. They'll train you how to sign them and some other stuff and submit them, but you're actually figuring out how to get the people to fill it out and stuff, especially if you're running for the first time. Hopefully it answers that. Go to 42 Broadway, go to 32 Broadway, right there in your district, walk there or whatever, ask some questions. They're not going to answer them, but then that'll give you more drive to do it. They say, hey, get election lawyer. It's like the Department of Buildings. Get an expedite, get in my face. I'm like, the Department of Buildings. I want to know how to do this. Nah, get out of my face. We just want to find you. And that's all they want to do is knock you off the ballot. You see what I'm saying?
No, definitely. Yeah, because they have the same lawyer that, for example, Carlina, I could tell you briefly, Juan Pagan,
I know that guy.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, not a personal friend, but he was trying to run against Carlina because he was able to run against her at 21, but she made sure to have her lawyer. His name is Paul. I forgot his last name, but I'm thinking you know who I'm talking about. She uses the same lawyer for all her elections and gets. He had 15 last year. Juan Pagan had over 1,500 petitions. You know, everything was in order, and he successfully had all of them thrown out. They've spent a lot of money to go out, even though Juan Pagan had no shot of winning, even if he was on the ballot against Carlina in the general, because in the general in 21, I'm looking at it right here, he had under 2,000 votes, and Carlina easily won re-election with 18,000 votes in 21. So why would she be so scared of someone that is only going to get about 2,000 votes and waste, whatever money? I can imagine what it is, tens of thousands or 100,000 or whatever the fuck it is, on someone like that. But
that's an easy question. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but
that's an easy question.
She runs unopposed, but the difference is in 23, because I see here she got the working families line, which gave her extra 1,500 votes in 23, and then she didn't get the working families vote in 21. So Ali Ryan got the neighborhood vote. That's a local party here, and they got Ali Ryan got over 2,600 votes, and then Juan Pagan got almost 2,000 independent votes because he couldn't get the Republican endorsement. So why would she go after small people, like that? And oh, by the way, one last thing before I let you response. In 23, she had 8,000 less voters come out because she was unopposed. Regardless, so she lost 8,000 voters between 21 and 23. And so those 8,000 voters, now it's more than that are not happy with her and are not going to vote for another Democrat. So those 8, 10, 12,000 voters are out here right now in my district looking for someone else. And that's before we have over 10 to 12% Republicans registered now. In my district, we have almost 25% with no party affiliation. The Democrat numbers are going down. They're almost at 60% registration right now here, because the stats I'm telling you now is from 21. Obviously,
could we get an answer from?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, again, Dion raises more questions than his answers. How about that? I always leave way more. The answer is this. The less options you give these people, the better. Unfortunately, you have to use the same democratic methodology for the win. Free tours, free schools, blah, blah, blah. But if you can have no elections with no options, then that's better for you to win. For example, to know that a Juan Pagan exists is dangerous. Because Juan Pagan existing on paper is like, well, who is this guy? I don't like Catalina Rivera, but who is this guy Juan? Does he have a website or something? I want to do my research on this guy.
Yeah.
All it takes is that one person to get curious about these people existing. What are they doing? What does Juan do in the community? And actually, when you go to vote, it having you deny this information, what drives you even more to actually seek it out. And then for them to do that to Wampagan, that actually saves money and resources for her. Now she doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to print those damn flyers from the same vendor everybody else uses and makes a lot of money. She doesn't have to do petitions and door knock and get a team. She can just ease on back in there, you know? And then another thing is people get curious, like, how come I don't vote? I hear stuff about voting. How come I don't vote for her? I didn't see her on the ballot. You know, some people think that she has to do this, you know, every 4 years. Well, she has term limited. You want term limits, right? She's term limited. You can run for office yourself. You know, turn over your ballot. Look at the bottom line and see what's there hiding from you. And things like. But yeah, Wampagan is dangerous because on paper he gives people an option, and that's the thing about voting rights and voter access and voter suppression is that it gives people options. A true democracy, as it were, even though we're a constitutional republic, so anytime they say democracy, they're lying to you, is to give people options. And to deny people those options, to say, well, you got no choice. But he's coming for your democracy, but you got no choice. You know, that's not a good thing. And some people want third-party options and stuff like that to vote for. And that data that's accumulated, like you just read, brother, goes to consultants like, oh my God, we don't have data on Democrats anymore. These people have become a conservative party. They're unpredictable voters. That means we have to work hard for them, and they don't want to work hard.
Dion, since we're close to time, would you mind giving the people your information if they want to reach you, donate to you, or just his contact information?
Well, you can hit me up, Dion at nyconsultant.us, singular. Dion at nyconsultant.us. If you're on Facebook, you could join my successful Facebook group called the Bronx, New York Conservative Democrats and Progressive Republicans, and participate that way and put your content in there and share DJ Loudmouth's content. You know, we're going to put the flyers up for events and activities. The Bronx County Conservative Party, ticket donations, they have the capacity for that. Because I just don't want your money for myself. You can return me as a consultant and, you know, give me money that way, which is great, but help the parties out, you know, get organized, you know, that helps out a lot. And then if you live in DJ Loudmouth's district, you know, we're going to educate you in the matching funds program for state, senate, and assembly, how that works and that money's game, and how to follow money, you know, opensecrets.org. So you can either donate, you know, help me get a contract as a retainer, or just give me money as a consultant with my website, nyconsultant.us. Give the party some money so we can, you know, do our activities in the community and keep winning. And those are the two ways I see it to give you money. But other than that, you know, like and subscribe, social media stuff. Follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook. And let's keep the dialogue going. Join the group. You know, put yourself out there. If you see me put a flyer for the event, ask me if I'm going or participate. Same thing with DJ Loudmouth. These meetings, say, hey, you know, just DM them. Say, you know, what is this about? You know, and just ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. I'm not going to say there's no such thing as a stupid question, but ask questions, observe. Go to a community board meeting. mygovnyc.org. 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 Put your address in there. See who your city council person is, your senators, your president, and just reach out. Call them. Go to their office hidden in plain sight and say, hey, I live here. What can you do for me? That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I want more. I want another 2 hours, goddammit. Don't shut me up.
DJ
To beat a man, you gotta beat the man. That's me. Got that.
Woo! Wait, you talking about that? Hold on.
DJ Well, for those that would like to either be on the show or get more information on me, one of your co-hosts, Gonzalo Duran, you can reach me at any social media platform at gonzaloduran.nyc. You can check out my website at www.gonzaloduran.nyc. DJ Loudmouth, would you mind closing up the show?
Oh. You can see this?
We can see it.
We're going to be talking after this, brother. Believe me, we're going to be talking after this.
November 4th, 2025 in District 2. We're going to give the title back to the people of the Lower East Side, East Village, Alphabet City. We, the people, shall win.
And if you don't like it, you better think before you vote.
There you go.
DJ Loudmouth, can you close up the show?
I don't know what you want me to say.
Be DJ Loudmouth. Close up the
All
show.
right. All right. Well, no, I can't say that because Anyway. Well, anyway. In the words of the final boss, the real boss, DJ Loudmouth, your next city councilman for District 2, Jason Murillo. If you smell
La 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 la.
what we, the people, are cooking.
I love it.
DJ Loudmouth, thank you for joining us. This is the Situation Room, New York City politics and beyond. I'm one of your co-hosts, Gonzalo Duran. Dion, thank you for being with us today. Everyone, God bless America.